So when I turn on my Kenmore Elite Smart Heat Quiet Pack 9 dryer, it does start, but the problem is the flame, because this is a gas-powered, gas-driven dryer, the gas never turns on, so we gotta troubleshoot this today. Now we want to remove this bottom piece of sheet metal here. There's gonna be 2 sheet metal screws, 1 in each corner, and those are gonna be a 1/4 inch socket to remove those. So once you remove those 2, you can then pull this metal panel off. And just to be safe, we will unplug the dryer while we're working on it. Now looking into the bottom of my dryer, you've got your exhaust right here. Your burner is back there. Now when the dryer failed, my kids were doing laundry and they'd just come back from school, so they'd been doing laundry all morning. So I have a hunch that either my thermal fuse or my thermistor has gone bad. Those are located on this exhaust manifold, and it's the 2 little electronic sensors here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use a 1/4 inch socket, and the thermal sensor is held in with 2 sheet metal screws, and then there's 1 holding in that thermal fuse in back. So I'm going to disconnect the wires, and I'm going to remove both those devices, and then we'll see if they're good or bad. I sped things up a little bit here. Now you want to be careful you don't drop those sheet metal screws in the back. So what I did was I used that 1/4 inch socket to loosen them. Then I went in by hand and kind of carefully unscrewed them so that I could grab it right away and pull those out. Once I got the sheet metal screws out, then I just gently tugged the wire connections off of the 2 little metal leads that are sticking up, and then the thermistor came out pretty easy. That thermal fuse, it's actually kind of clipped under the metal. If you look close at it, you'll know what I'm talking about. So that one was a little harder to get out. So I kind of had to, you can kind of see I'm tugging on it once I got it. And then it just kind of, finally I lift it up a little bit and then pull it towards me, and then I pop it out. Now let's test the thermal fuse for continuity. And we have an open lead. Now we want to check our thermistor, and I'm going to set this on 20 kilo ohms. We've got 14.33. So I'm thinking our thermistor is okay. I think our thermal fuse is the problem. I found these parts on Amazon. I'll put links in the description. They actually sell this as a kit. So I've got a thermal fuse as well as a new thermal sensor. So let's measure the new thermal sensor. 13.44, exactly the same. So it looks like our thermal sensor was actually okay. And now let's check continuity on this new thermal fuse. Okay. So I do think the problem with my dryer is that my thermal fuse was blown. So let's install them and see if the dryer works. Again here, I'm going to speed things up. So I went in first with the thermal fuse, and you want to make sure your electrical connections are up. And then you want to take that back end and slide it under the metal. And then when you place the front end down, that's where you will insert your sheet metal screw. So I tightened mine by hand, and now I am kind of positioning that thermistor. All right, so just a little pro tip, it actually was easier to get in a small box wrench, 1/4 inch, because of the clearance here. So I've now got both my thermal fuse and my thermistor snug down, so I'm just going to reattach these wires now. Alright, thermal fuse is reconnected, and I think the black wire was further down. Got that one on. All right. There's a shot. My new thermistor and thermal fuse are now installed on that exhaust tube. So let's power things up and see how she runs. Now, one thing I should say is before I powered things back up, I did actually take my vacuum cleaner and I just went all around inside here very carefully, not to damage any fuses or knock loose any wiring, but I did get any lint that was in there because this is a gas dryer, just for your safety. You should also clean some of the tubes and the exhaust just to make sure that your system does not have any blockages. Those can actually cause overheating of your dryer. And now we'll plug this back in. Okay, I'm just going to select a normal cycle and hit start. And now let's look to see if our burner fires up. I'm seeing it glowing. That's a good sign. And we have fire. So our dryer is now firing. It is running with heat, and our Kenmore Elite is now repaired. Again, check the description. You'll see the parts that I bought, as well as a voltmeter that can help you troubleshoot your dryer. Now, I will say, if you check both your thermistor and your thermal fuse and they're in good shape, there are still other options. On your burner, there's an igniter, and there are also thermal overheat sensors that can also be tested. This can be frustrating, but I'll tell you what, when you fix your dryer for $13 and you don't have to go out and buy a new unit, it's pretty rewarding. Thanks for watching. Check out the description for more information and hit that subscribe button if you'd like to see more videos.